Marketer of the Day, episode 691. Multiply yourself by hiring smart virtual assistants with Ann and Mark Lackey. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Marketer of the Day podcast. We are here with Ann and Mark Lackey, and Ann and Mark own and operate several businesses. They have coached and trained hundreds of investors and business owners all over the US and Canada, and at one point they determined that they were working harder and not smarter, so they embarked on their newest business, which is called HireSmart Virtual Assistants. And this service, this company, helps business owners scale by providing top-notch virtual employees, and they have transformed over 60 businesses from chaos and overwhelm to calm, well-run businesses that are now making higher profits, and their team dynamic contributes dramatically to their ability to scale and grow multiple businesses. And Ann and Mark are just natural-born educators. They have books, they do webinars, they do podcasts, live events, and we're going to jump in, have a lot of fun. So Ann and Mark, glad to be talking to you.
Well, we are excited to be here. Thank you for having us on the show.
Thank you for having us. It's our pleasure.
Oh, cool. Well, the pleasure is mutual and all those pleasantries that they say. And so, so can you tell me about what both of you do and what makes you special? What makes you stand out? Because as you know, it's easy to say, I do X, and then it turns out that 250 other companies do the exact same thing. So what's your secret sauce, and how do you just make it stand out compared to everyone else?
So I have two things that really kind of make us unique and different. And the first one is we have taken a hiring process down to a science. So a lot of people we found, especially entrepreneurs, they hire people that they like, or they think, this person would work. They really don't know what it takes from a personality standpoint, from an analytical standpoint, who is the best person to do that role on a long-term basis. So we've really honed our testing and profiling to make sure that we get the right kinds of people in the right types of roles. So that's number one.
And in this current economy and the current unemployment rate being unreasonably low, historically it's off the records, finding people to work, period, is a problem, but finding the right person is an even bigger challenge.
I think the second thing that really makes us kind of that secret sauce is once we have a client engagement and they select one of our candidates, we then have a rigorous certification process to back check all the things that we think that are true about a person. Because I don't know about you, but if you've ever hired somebody and you think, oh man, they're amazing, they're awesome. And then the second day they walk into your office and you're like, what did I do? Oh my goodness.
How are we going to get rid of them?
How are we going to get rid of this person? It's just not a good fit. I solve a lot of that problems because I test a lot of the soft skills in addition to the technical skills to make sure that our placements are amazing. So I think those are the two things that really kind of make the difference.
Super cool. So you make this hiring process more of a science and you test those skills. And I think that a lot of people listening can relate, or at least I can relate to the frustration that comes with running a business, right? Like you let the ego take over. You think you can do it all yourself. You end up being overwhelmed and is trying to do too many things. You try some of these marketplaces like Upwork and Fiverr, and who knows what you get there, right? And sometimes it starts off good, and then 5 weeks later, you wonder why you ever tried it, and then you say, well, maybe I need someone local or a family member or a friend. And I think some of us have tried that too, where again, there's that bait and switch, and then it becomes hard to put your foot down, right? It's like, how do you tell your best friend from high school no? Or how do you tell your mom or your son that you're not happy with their work? And then that's a whole mess. And then also there's the issue of then like trying to hire someone hourly or hire someone a specialist, and it just seems like a whole headache. And so if I'm hearing you correctly, Ann, it seems like you kind of play middleman a little bit in terms of like you figure out the requirements, you figure out what needs to be done, and then you go and find those candidates and kind of do that back and forth. That way we don't have to deal with all of that whole mess directly. Is that on the right track?
That's absolutely true. So we are a recruiter and a training company. That's kind of what we do. What I think kind of also helps is we don't go away after the placement. So we actually become the HR department as well. So when there are challenges, because again, we're dealing with people, and I don't care. Like you said, you love your mother, she still screws up. You
got to let her go.
There's hard conversations that have to happen, right? So we help those hard conversations. And honestly, most of my placements, I have a 97.2% success rate in my placements after certification. So I think those numbers speak pretty strongly. As you can tell, I'm kind of a real analytical process person. And I do know our numbers and all of that. But a lot of times that little bit of percentage that don't work out, more than often, like I would say more than probably 65% of that time, it has to do with the hiring manager, the entrepreneur. And so sometimes I have a little bit of coaching with that person to say, okay, well, have you done this? Have you done that? Well, no, I didn't sit down and talk with them, and I didn't really kind of explain what I was expecting. And so I help them kind of manage expectations and communicate those in a way that the relationship can be salvaged.
Because school doesn't teach us how to hire. It doesn't teach us really how to manage and how to work with different types of personalities, different types of people. And we have a very diverse workforce now. And we've taken a grasp of all that. And like I say, we put it into numbers to some degree. But in this business, a lot of times somebody will come to us and say, I need some help. And most of the suppliers that would supply individuals say, well, here's the next person that's available. Take them and put them to work. And that's kind of like us hiring our cousin, right? Or our niece or whatever it is, because they're available. We don't just take that next person that's looking for a job. We go out then and seek and sort out through all those hundreds of people that are wanting a job and find the right one to fit. And that makes a great big difference because we know that requirement and we then match those skills.
Well, and the other thing about that, you mentioned Upwork and Fiverr. And again, we use a global workforce. I mean, we source from the Philippines because we have found that from a cultural standpoint, they're very close. Their work ethic is amazing. They're smart because, again, we put them through a whole bunch of analytics and testing. But what I've found is a lot of our entrepreneurial people say, well, I don't need you. I'll try it myself. Like you said, I'll just go to Upwork. I'll put on a job. And they have a horrible experience. And they go, well, virtual assistants don't work. Well, that's actually not true. But because they're not experts in that field and they don't do it all the time, it's really hard for people in the general public to get a good outcome for that. And so we solve that business.
And those are the ones that fail with hiring locally too, typically. And they keep failing. Well, something's wrong, and they don't realize they don't have that skill set. So.
And I think we right now are working with 5, maybe 6 Filipino workers in our business, and I love them. I love their work ethic. I love how they're very agreeable, and you can ramp them up, and they're super smart, and you can show them how to do something, and they it takes a little bit of that back and forth to educate them, and they're so loyal and they're so honest. I mean, it cuts out a lot of the I don't know what you call it, but just like the BS detector, right? Like, I feel like before dealing with a lot of these Filipinos, I'd have to maybe check people's work or see if they were lying. And it's like, it cuts out a lot of the headaches here. But, we're talking a lot of like generalities, numbers here, which is fun. But I think that people listening might want to hear about like some fun stories, right? Because sometimes this idea of like a virtual assistant and what they do and what people's needs are, it might be kind of vague. So do you have any fun stories like that? Like if you had a client that said, here's what I do, here's what I need help with, and then you went and found the right match. Do you have any kind of fun anecdotes like that?
We have lots of them. I mean, the reality is our success stories are amazing as what we've been able to do. So a lot of our clients tend to be in the real estate space because we're brokers and owners and we have a lot of friends in that arena. But it really doesn't matter what industries. Customer service is customer service, right? So that type of a position, whether it be a receptionist or whatever. The reason that we got started is because our marketing manager quit via text on our first vacation in 7 years. That was about 5 years ago, a little over than that. And we were like, now what do we do? Right. So a lot of times that's our clients' stories as well. Somebody's left them in a lurch and now they need to actually find a worker. And so they go, well, can I do this remotely or do I need somebody here locally?
And they find that we can locate that person for them quicker with a lot less involvement from them because we do all the heavy lifting and deliver somebody to them trained and ready to work. And our clients are just shocked that on that first Monday that individual shows up to work and, shows up, it's all electronically, but they show up to work and they're actually productive working because they're used to having hired somebody in the first day. All they do is fill out paperwork and get to know around the office and all. They're not really getting anything done. We've had one chef who, a professional chef, goes into people's homes, needed somebody to help place the orders, make sure the calendar was managed. People knew in advance how getting the head count, so they had enough carrots for everybody. And so we've got these success stories across a broad spectrum of just taking care of things, being sometimes a personal assistant, like that the personal chef had done. It was really a personal assistant and ended up running their lives, in their business and on their personal lives to keep things going and reminding, there's a birthday coming up.
Yeah, we had one CEO that literally before they worked with us missed her son's performance because she's just so busy, so working.
A school play.
Like, so they put an announcement in in their little school newspaper, but she was too busy to read it. And of course, her son didn't tell her that he was the lead in this.
Kids, they don't tell the parents, right?
So, she was devastated, right? But she's a busy CEO. She's on. And so one of our VAs came alongside her shortly thereafter. And so part of her job is actually to read the school's newspaper, pull out those things that are important, put it on her calendar, and remind her the day before of kind of the highlights of what's going on. So these are just some ideas of some of the success stories that we've had, some anecdotes, as you've said. But the amazing thing and what we found after 5 years of doing this is a virtual assistant can do anything that can be done with a computer and a phone. So literally, whether it be bookkeeping, customer service, receptionist work, specialty jobs like, in real estate, answering what we call the leasing line or coordinating maintenance or doing insurance audits. I mean, there's all different kinds of things that can be done. It's such a great stress reliever to know that it's done and there's no more water cooling.
And what's really great is we have a weekly meeting. They participate. So they're up on the screen in front of the group of the entire companies there, and they're on the screen. They take the notes and then send them to everybody. Says, your job, you committed to do this and this and this by Tuesday, this and this and this by Wednesday. But one thing that's interesting is, and we're going through those meetings and going through the tasks that need to be done, and they're the one that's usually raising their hand. So I'll be happy to call and ask them when they're going to provide that. I'll be happy to call and take the initiative to get that information. They're not afraid to make a phone call. They're not afraid to interact. They're not afraid to take on a job. And sometimes these are the tougher jobs, like you owe us a payment. When are you going to get the check in the mail? They don't mind doing that. And these are jobs that many of us are kind of hesitant because it's stressful to ask for payments, right? And so the jobs that they're doing are just amazing, that they take that initiative, and you see that if you've got them working with you. And the culture there is to take initiative and move forward, learn and grow and get an education. And that's what they do in our jobs that we provide for.
Super cool. Yeah. And you're so right. Sometimes you'll say, just do this little bit, and then they've done the whole thing. Or they set up, like, I think we had a person, set up a whole LinkedIn for our company. I was like, I don't even know how, that you did that or how you did that, but I'm glad that you did. And,
great. Yeah.
Yeah. Customer service has come up a couple of times here, and I can definitely relate to, like, early on, I would answer help desk tickets, and I get yelled at a lot more because I guess customers would say, you're the product creator and you're the marketer, plus you're doing customer service. You must not be a real big time operation. But then when we had someone handling that, they were even nicer to the person because they knew they were just talking to the person whose job that was. And I don't know, it was good to only have to jump in and look at those things every now and then, and not just have to go through that sort of day-to-day drudgery. So there's that aspect of the jobs that we don't want to do. But then something that came to mind recently was I came across someone who had like a really cool outside the box idea of attending local networking events, Chamber of Commerce stuff. And this lady said that she had hired a virtual assistant to curate together all of the other local networking events. So like you go to a Chamber of Commerce meeting, and she came with like all these copies of these printouts that the virtual assistant had made and said, if you're already here at some networking event, here's other things. And everyone wanted to pick things up like that. And so when you were sharing that story about the lady who had the newspaper reader to get all those things together, it kind of made me think about that. So do you have anything along those lines to share? Like, has anything come on your radar recently of like some kind of like new, I don't know, like outside the box creative uses for these VAs other than the usual customer support phone call kind of stuff?
I mean, the sky's the limit. I mean, certainly research, that I would consider that a research task, right? So a lot of our clients, like right now, again, in our business, we are doing profile researching for top level real estate agents. Again, in my property management business, we're looking for partnerships with agents who either have a listing that they really can't sell, but they want to maintain the relationship with the owner. So they'll put it in property management for a period of time. So Bonnie is actually curating a list of those relationships so that we can do a lunch and learn about how to use property managers to kind of as an add-on to your business. And of course, we pay referral fees for anybody that comes along as well.
And kind of along those lines too, we're really proactive in our customer service area. So we bring a client on board. We have a set schedule of contacts that need to be made. So we have our VA, Daphne, makes these initial contacts, phone calls, these emails, and continues that relationship so we don't disappear. So, what's the average business person do? They get an order, they fulfill it, and then they disappear, and they don't go in and try to follow up to get more business out of it, or make sure that that person or that company that has bought from them is satisfied with that purchase. So we have that whole thing, and we're giving that similar concept to some of our clients so that they have a follow-up to make sure that they're doing a proactive approach to customer management. And they're finding that they're able to grow their business through that, because who doesn't want, once they bought something, to be contacted and say, are you doing okay? Is everything fine? Is there anything we can fix? I mean, we have a 6-month guarantee on the VAs we place. So we want to know that things are going well. One other thing comes to mind is we have another CEO that travels quite a bit, and they're on airplanes going internationally and across the United States. And their VA takes care of all their business and their important things that need to be done while they're out of touch on a plane, and helps manage that person's life. And you would talk to her, and she is now at the point saying, I could not exist without this person helping me. And that person does a lot of the reminders and making sure that things are done on a personal basis, but also on the business basis.
Cool. And it seems like as you're saying that, I imagine that it kind of frees up a lot of the headspace, right? So that way you don't have to have a million reminders. You don't have to keep track of all these things, like whether it's like the follow-up or the business or the personal stuff. Like we're free to just do what we want and do the focus on the fun stuff and not have to just deal with all that daily routine, it seems like.
And that's true, because between Ann and I, we get about 300 emails a day. And I'm sure most business people do. Well, how many of them really need your attention? Well, by the time we get to them and they're sorted by our VA and deleted the junk, right, and responded with the standard response that's necessary for the balance of them, there's probably only 4 or 5 emails every day we really need to deal with, and 1 or 2 phone calls. Imagine how much headspace that releases from an entrepreneur. They can either, like you say, have fun, be creative. They can get out of it more business. They can have more personal time if they want to spend it with their family, to not just track through a couple of hours of emails and phone calls a day. And in that, serving that community in that high level has been tremendous for us. In addition to the ones where we have them in the trenches, like Ann said, they're answering the basic phone calls of, oh, yes, you want to buy from our company? Let me send you some of our marketing information. And then calling back the next day, did you get it? Do you have any further questions? Oh, let me connect you with, and whoever's in sales then takes over. So it's really helped to increase those sales levels, and all those contacts just make people want to do business with you, because we're a human to human relationship. We're not a business to business. We're not a business to consumer. We're human to human. We've lost that with texting and social media. And when you send a handwritten card to somebody or you call them up, they're really just shocked because they're not used to that.
Right. We've gotten away from that. And so we're trying to bring that back into organizations. And, that personal touch, again, with your customers means so much. I mean, sure, you can do automated email campaigns and all of that. And I know a lot of us have that in place. But there's something about a personal phone call to say, thank you for your business. And we appreciate you. How can we serve you? And that's one of the things that we're hoping a lot of entrepreneurs bring back.
Yeah, and we train that for our VAs to support our clients and do that. And we have hundreds of clients and hundreds of VAs that are doing that. They're really helping our companies' clients grow in their business as well as we do it for ourselves.
Probably the only other kind of interesting thing that we're seeing is it also allows companies to expand their reach. So let's say their normal customer service line is open from Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Well, with a virtual assistant, because the cost is so low, you can actually have 7 days a week coverage, or you can have extended hours coverage. And that's what we did in our business. We actually now have 7 days a week coverage so that if a concern comes up, it can be handled not just, during the time that it's convenient for us.
So in one of our other businesses, we have 7-day coverage versus my competition has 5. So if you were out looking for that service, who would you want? You'd want 7 days of level of service, or do you want 5? So it gives us a big advantage in the marketing field. So.
Yeah, you're so right. And as you're kind of explaining this, like you say that, all these marketing automation tools are so widespread, and a lot of people have abandoned the personal touch for the marketing automation. As you're explaining that, I'm thinking, why not do both? Why not have the automation plus have that human touch? And then that's an easy way to stand out. And if everyone else out there has moved away from the personal touch, well, then that's great for people like both of you and me, right? Because we can recognize that, and then we can just do those little things that are hard for others, but easy for us to do if we know to approach people like you and get something like this set up. And so now I'm curious about, so when people come to you, whether they're like realtors or whoever, where are they at? Have they already drank the hiring Kool-Aid? Do they know something needs to change, or do they need some convincing? Do they have any fears? What are people telling you by the time they get to you?
That is a wide question with a lot of answers.
Yeah.
So to answer your question is most times, again, realistically, something has happened in their business, some kind of crack, some type of fault, somebody's left. They are overwhelmed, and they're kind of a solopreneur looking to grow. So it's kind of one of those two categories that I find. What we're going to say.
Usually they have employees and they know the pains of that, and they know payroll costs and all, and so they know what. It isn't just what you pay that individual, it's the additional cost, and then the distractions that happen around the office. And those people come to us because somebody's just quit, or they've gotten a new contract and they're growing their business and they're starting to feel those pains. So they come to us and say, hey, I need to add staff.
And then usually the conversation is, I know I need to add staff, but I don't know how to do it virtually. Like that, that scares me. And of course, we have all of the tools to map all of that. I wish I would have had it. The reason we started HireSmart is I wish I would have had me to help through the process a long time ago, many years ago. And so a lot of our clients love the fact that it's basically a turnkey solution, has a guarantee. We also offer healthcare to our workers. And I think that people like the fact that while it is a lower cost than what they could hire locally, they're still having a huge impact in the world because we are offering these additional benefits, and we're paying our people well, and we are making a significant investment in our Filipino workers as
well. So they save a lot of money, so it's a value proposition for our clients. And then to make the VA stick with them, we pay higher than the national average for VA. There's about 1 million people working in call centers in the Philippines now. Those are the main jobs because there's just not enough jobs to go around. So they're already doing that. So we're paying twice the national average. We're providing healthcare, and nobody else in our industry does that. We're an industry leader. So our VAs want to stay. They don't want to leave. So they stick. They're long-term. These are really careers for the VAs. And so our clients look at that and say, I want to be able to take the advantage of those cost savings. I don't know how to do it. Show me what to do. and it's basically the VA in the box, and it gives them all the solutions for technology, for phone use, and how to get everything set up, and finds that VA and delivers them to them, and they're just, like I said, they're astonished. We get emails. I couldn't believe they were working so hard the first day. So.
Cool. And that's, I mean, that seems like a great deal there, is instead of having to slowly work things up and go through the growing pains of trial and error, why not hit the ground running on the first day and then set things up for success? Because you mentioned like the meetings, and you mentioned how, like you have that healthcare thing. So that way that they want to stay. And so if people out there in podcast land say, I've come across one of these crises that you're talking about, or I'm a solopreneur looking to grow, or I'm just tired of doing all the rigmarole of trying it myself, or, another person keeps quitting. I'm tired of the turnaround. Where should people go, and what's the next step here?
Well, probably the easiest thing, if it's okay with you, we'll give them our free book called Multiply Yourself. It was one of our bestseller books. And it talks about employees versus, remote staff. And they can do that by going to HireSmartVAs.com/podcast. Try to keep it super simple. So it's our website, HireSmartVAs.com/podcast. And they can go ahead and get their free book. If they know that if they're desperate, like they had somebody quit and they need to talk to me right away, right now, you can go to the same website, HireSmartVAs.com/appointment, and get on my calendar to speak with me directly. And I love talking with entrepreneurs across the world, helping and
answering all those questions. Answering all the questions. The book addresses a lot of them. But they have these questions once they read the book, or like you say, it's an emergency. They need to do something immediately. And they're just shocked how quickly we can turn around and deliver somebody to them.
Yeah, see, I can deliver a trained, certified VA in 3 to 4 weeks. And we just did a study to see how long it takes people to hire. And it's a lot longer than that is the general average to hire. And it costs a lot more than our placement fee does. So we can save them a lot of money, time, energy, effort, and really give them the support that they want as well to help them through the process.
Well, fantastic. And I'm sure you guys have come across this issue where a lot of business owners say, I just wanted to do this, right? I just wanted to be a realtor. I just wanted to be an accountant. And then suddenly I have to learn all these skills of how to hire and train and maintain this person. Why not just go to people where that is their bread and butter, like you and your team? So that place is HireSmartVAs.com. And if you want to get that excellent sounding book, Multiply Yourself, that is HireSmartVAs.com/podcast. And if your hair is on fire and you need help right now, you needed help yesterday, it's a complete 911 emergency, then the place to go is HireSmartVAs.com/appointment. So once again, that is HireSmartVAs.com/podcast and HireSmartVAs.com/appointment. And as we're wrapping up, winding down here, do you have any just like parting words of wisdom for everyone out here to tell us that, I don't know, everything will be okay, or maybe what to focus on? Does anything come to mind just as far as how we can wrap up this whole conversation in a nice package?
So I would tell anybody listening that do what you like to do. If you're doing stuff that you don't like to do, get that off your plate. The reality is you're not probably doing it well, or you're not doing it at all.
And that's costing you money and clients, probably.
Right. And so I don't care whether you use us or you hire locally. It doesn't really matter. But we're all about empowering entrepreneurs to be their best self. And so you can't be your best self if you are burdened by tasks in your business. And we all have them. I mean, there's certain things in my business I don't want to do either.
Calling for collections. I mean, that's why we have somebody else do it. They're great at it. We don't like to do it.
But whatever it is, get that off your plate so that you can fulfill your highest potential and do the great things in this world that you were intended to do. So that's my part of it.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. And the other thing that I had said earlier about we're a human-to-human, age-to-age business now. You'll grow your business if you reach out and touch. But you as an entrepreneur probably don't have the time to do that. And just setting up a program to send an email to somebody that hits delete's not it either. So have a way to reach those people and actually touch them live and have that support. Then if there is an issue, you can get on the phone. So that's my gift to you.
Well, great. Well, fantastic advice. And if that sounds like if you know that something needs to change, if you know that the same actions will get you the same results and that it's time to mix things up and get new and better results and actually grow your business instead of just surviving, then the perfect place for you to go right now. If you're listening in the car, pull a car over and write this down or go here on your phone. That is HireSmartVAs.com/podcast. And we'll see you there. And thanks, Anna and Mark, for stopping by and imparting some wisdom. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
We appreciate it,
Thank
Robert.
you.
Have
The
a great
pleasure's
day.
ours.
If you're a future podcaster, new podcaster, existing podcaster, or you're looking to make more money with your podcast with less time, you owe it to yourself to check out doneforyoupodcasting.com. We handle any or all of your podcasting needs. Go to doneforyoupodcasting.com right now.